Mezco 112 Collective Tactical Suit Batman is in the DorkLair. Welcome to another DorkLair action figure review. Today I'm taking a look at the Mezco 112 Collective Tactical Suit Batman. This figure released a couple months back, so I'm a little late to the party, but my patience paid off because I was able to get this at a really good deal. You probably can also find it for less than retail as well if you're patient, because the production run on this was really high. But I wouldn't wait too long because this figure is absolutely outstanding. It's got great articulation considering how armored it is. Excellent detail and paintwork. I even think the likeness is pretty good. But overall, fantastic figure. Lots of accessories. I highly recommend this one. Now let's get into the review. Okay, taking a look at the packaging, this is your standard Mezco box, and if you've seen a Justice League figure, you've definitely seen this one. It's very similar. The difference is it has Batman up on the corner, it's got the logo on the side. There's nice glossy logos and artwork on there, but, you know, nothing new. Pretty standard. Picture of the figure on the back and another Batman logo on that side. Standard Mezco box, very large, but also very high quality. And taking a look at the details on Batman, we have our Ben Affleck masked head sculpt number 1. And I think the likeness is pretty good. Very stern. I think it looks like Affleck to me. It looks like he did in the movie, quite frankly. And then you have these goggles that are movable, and they can come up and down. And there's actually an extra pair, which we'll talk about in the accessories. And so if you look at the eyes, I think they're painted really well. They're even glossy. They're nicely centered. Some sculpt work on the head, on the neck there. You can see that the cowl is sort of this one piece. There's some gold accents over here. It's a little raised up, so it's a little off the body over here, but I think that's because the cape is underneath it. And taking a look at the cape itself, it's made out of a nice sort of pleathery material, but super thin. It's a lot thinner than the Ascending Knight Batman's cape, and it has a little bit more of a drape to it, though I would be careful. It feels like it could be fragile. I have not ripped mine or anything yet, but it definitely feels a little lighter than the Ascending Knight. It almost feels like a cross between the Ascending Knight's pleather cape and then the really thin fabric of, say, like the one that comes to my mind is the Superman Red Sun version. It's a super thin cape, but you know, it's nice. It has a nice drape to it. It folds over the shoulders, almost like pre-folded this way. So, you know, it folds back nicely, or you can bring it across the front and have it fully covering him. So really nice cape. And if you want to see like a wider angle of it, it's quite big. And working down the figure, so what you have here is a cloth suit underneath that's, I believe, very similar to the regular Batman v Superman Batman figure. Just like the regular classic Batfleck looking one. So underneath you have a gray suit, and then over the top you have these armor pieces. And the gray suit is nicely detailed. You can see like there's some patterns to it and stuff, and some texture to it. And then over the top of it, you're going to have the bat symbol is actually sculpted into the chest armor piece. So underneath, there's no bat symbol on the piece. Like if you take this off, it's just all solid gray under there. The armor pieces are really nicely sculpted and detailed, and they blend really well with the undersuit. So I think they've just executed it really well. In terms of color accuracy, I'm not sure how accurate it is. I haven't had a chance to really compare it to the movie yet, but he moves really well because, and we'll get into the articulation later, but it's a really soft armor. It's not like Aquaman where it's super stiff and you just can't move his chest at all, but he can crunch forward, and this armor will give with the articulation. And then you can see the belt over here, nicely colored in gold. It's got that like car seat buckle, almost belt buckle on there, and you know, it's also moves around, and it can remove over here. If you peg it out right here, you can take it off, and it's got a peg on the back so that you can store his grapple gun. And just taking a look at some of the details on the armor on the legs, more of the same kind of thing, but you have these buckles that really bring out a lot of nice details with it, and down to the feet and the boots and the armor on the legs all the way down. I believe from the knee down, like this is a solid piece of plastic. There's no fabric under this, but the feet don't angle forward very well, and we'll get to that later with the articulation. But bottom of the boots have some treads there. So overall, just like a really nice looking figure, really nicely detailed. And the armor is such a way that it's not going to hinder the articulation very much. So very happy with the way this thing looks. And just to get him in the picture with a couple other DCEU figures, here he is with the Batman v Superman Batman figure and the Justice League Aquaman figure. And next to a couple non-cinematic figures, the Ascending Knight Batman Previews exclusive blue and gray, and the Mezco Direct exclusive deluxe Joker. For accessories, he comes with 3 loose batarangs, and he comes with a grapple piece that's closed, and then there's 2 other grapple pieces I'll show you in a minute. He comes with 3 little grenades, and then 2 pairs of goggles, which all of the pieces in here are really small, and you could potentially lose them very easily, so it's a nice thing that they give you a couple extras. He comes with this second, more aggressive, angry, snarling head that I think is also painted really well with a good likeness. I think I prefer the other one, but this one's pretty cool too. I mentioned the grapple gun. Looks really nice. It's got a wooden handle to it, a few little silver accents, nicely sculpted, and then it's got a hole in the front where you can slide in that closed grapple piece that I showed you before, or this open grapple piece here. And then it comes with the third grapple piece. One thing I noticed is that these are really soft over here, so just gotta be careful with those. But this third grapple piece actually has the wire to it. It's hard to see in my lighting here, but you can plug the end of the wire piece into the pistol for the grapple pistol, and then you can have him swinging or shooting it out. And then he also comes with a parademon rifle that's sculpted nicely and painted well. Looks really good. It does fit into this specific hand. There's 2 right hands for holding. There's one for holding with like a smaller grip for holding, I think, the grapple gun, and then this is the one for holding the parademon rifle. It's got like a bigger open grip for the big thick handle there. But it's still not perfect trying to get it in there. I mean, it fits on there, but it's not quite snug enough as I would like it. So it makes it kind of tricky posing. It just falls out really easy. Why don't we continue with the hands here? So like I said, 2 gun gripping right hands. And then he's got 2 open hands with slightly different level of fingers positioning, but pretty similar. And then he has these 2 hands that have batarangs already in them that I think are just glued in there just to make it so that they don't fall out super easy. But they look quite nice. And finally, he comes with the 5-inch Mezco stand. It's got the arm for posing the figure in a flight pose, and then it's also got all of these wire clasps where you can like clasp these onto the cape and get them into like a cape pose like I had at the beginning of the video, and this other piece that clips on to here. So basically you clip that onto here, and then you can plug all of these into it. And finally, articulation. Batman has some really good articulation for a kind of chunky armored figure. His head can look up this far, and then it can look down this far because it's got a double ball up there. Even though like the base of the neck doesn't move like a lot of the figures do, he's got that double ball even on that, fixed collar. Does not move at the base of the neck, but does move quite well at the top. It can create a little bit of gap when you're posing him looking down. So that, that's going to be kind of weird looking at it like that from behind, but I guess that's the trade-off for getting that extra articulation in there. And then it can, rock side to side and look up and down and spin all the way around and stuff. So pretty good range of motion in the head. So the armor is all kind of shifting around and loose, so you can pretty much do whatever you need to do and just shift it out of the way. His arm will move up this far. There is a little bit of hindrance with that armor, but you can get it up that far. You can swing it around pretty much, if the fabric wasn't there, it would go all the way around. There's a little bit of a butterfly joint in the shoulder, giving it a little extra range there. And the top of the bicep will swivel, but it's a little tricky because we got the armor there, but it will swivel a little bit. And then the elbows are double jointed, and he can come up very far. The forearms can swivel right here. The hands are on a ball and hinge, so they can swivel around really well. I did notice my right hand has like a little tab there. I think I need to cut that off. I think that plastic's not supposed to be there because this hand won't go all the way in, so it kind of pops off here and there. Minor thing, I can just clip it off. So it's kind of difficult to really show the specific joints up in the chest and then on the waist, but you can crunch them down quite far. Considering he's got this armor on, you can crunch him quite far, but this does flare out when you crunch him forward just because of the armor sort of bending. The armor is a flexible plastic, and it's what allows for him to crunch that far forward. So there's a little bit in the waist and then there's a little bit in the upper chest, but it's hard to kind of show both of those separately with the way the figure is covered in all this armor and stuff. And he can twist at the waist pretty well. The belt is free floating and it'll get out of your way if you want to have him crouching down and move it up a little bit, or have it down in a more natural position. One thing that's going to happen when you articulate the legs is that these pieces here are going to bend. Like I've seen this curl up as I articulate the leg. Once that flares out, I've noticed what I've been able to do is when I get him back into a standing position and it's still flared out, if I just pull his belt down and kind of go up and over that, it'll allow it to cover it and get back into position. So for the legs, he can kick forward this far, and you can get this piece past all of it and get his kick up really high. So he can do a kneeling position pretty well. And then he can do the splits out this far. Nicely articulated at the hips. There's a swivel at the top of the thigh, double jointed knees, but the armor gets in the way, so if you can shift it up a little bit, you might get a little more action there, but not a ton, so a little bit past 90 degrees, but that armor is tough. It's just going to get in the way there. And then at the upper calf, there's a swivel there, hinge at the foot, and rotates around, and it will swivel just a little bit. I wish there was some more inward swivel just to give him some wider stances, but that's a very typical issue with Mezcos. And I do wish the foot hinged forward a little bit more than that, but it hinges down pretty well though. So overall, I'm quite happy and even a little bit surprised at how well articulated Batman is. He's can do like jumping and flying poses pretty well. He's really nicely articulated. He can crouch and twist and do those Batman things. And all of that is kind of surprising because he's so heavily armored here. And I'm just really thrilled to have this figure. I think it's an excellent representation of this character. I know a lot of people don't like that movie very much, but the designs are really cool. And this is a pretty sweet version of Batman. So I highly recommend it, quite frankly. Get out there, get this figure. It's probably not going to stick around forever, though you can find deals because it is a very high production run. Anyway, I hope you like my video. Please comment in the description below. Let me know what you think. Let me know what else you want to see me review in the future. Let me know what other kinds of videos you want to see. And until next time, may the Force be with you. DorkLair!